2 weeks ago, my wife went to visit our daughter and son-in-law. I decided to surprise them and went too. When I approached the door of their house, their neighbor ran up to me and shouted, "Wait, I have something to tell you." 5 minutes later, police arrived. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Let me back up for a moment so you understand how I ended up here. Standing on my daughter's pristine suburban lawn, with my wrists zip-tied behind my back, while every nosy neighbor on the block recorded it on their phones. I'm Richard Marlowe, early 60s. Spent 35 years running construction crews, managing builds from foundation to finish. I know how to read a blueprint, spot a cracked beam, and tell when someone's lying about whether they ordered the right gauge rebar. I'm not some confused old man wandering around in his bathrobe talking to pigeons. I still drive. I still pay my bills on time. I still remember every person who ever screwed me on a job site. That morning, I'd been feeling good. Ellen, that's my wife, had driven over to Lena's place the day before to help with some gardening project. They do that sometimes, mother-daughter bonding or whatever. I figured I'd surprise them both. Pick up one of those store-bought pies from the bakery Lena likes, the one with the fancy crust that costs $18. Maybe fix that loose hinge on their mudroom door that's been dragging since March, because God knows Mark isn't going to do it himself. Mark's my son-in-law, calls himself an entrepreneur. What that actually means is he's got 3 half-finished renovation projects, 2 angry investors, and 1 very polished social media presence that makes him look like he's running an empire. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I parked on the street because their driveway was full. Lena's SUV, Mark's leased BMW, and Ellen's sedan all lined up like a perfect little family photo. The neighborhood was one of those planned communities where every house looks vaguely the same, and the HOA fines you if your mailbox isn't the right shade of black. Not my style, but Lena loved it here. Image meant everything to her. I grabbed the pie box and started up the walk. That's when Marcy came sprinting across her lawn. Marcy Henderson. Mid-50s, works from home doing something with graphic design, keeps her yard obsessively neat, waves hello every time she sees you. Nice lady. Normal person. The kind of neighbor you'd actually want. Right now she looked terrified. "Richard!" She was nearly out of breath. "Richard, wait, please. I need to tell you something." That's as far as she got. The patrol cars came around the corner fast, no sirens but lights going full blast. 2 of them. They pulled up to the curb, and 4 officers got out, hands already near their belts, eyes locked on me like I was holding a gun instead of a pie. "Sir, I need you to put down what you're holding and step back from the residence." I just stood there, pie box in hand, brain trying to catch up. "What? What's going on?" "Put it down, now." I set the pie on the porch railing, hands up. "Officer, I don't know what this is about. This is my daughter's house. I was just... Turn around. Hands behind your back." And that's when Lena appeared in the doorway. My daughter. 32 years old, blonde hair pulled back in a perfect ponytail, yoga pants and a soft sweater that probably cost more than my grocery bill. She had her phone in one hand, and this look on her face. Concern, fear, the performance of a woman who was scared for her safety. I'd seen her practice that expression in the mirror when she was 16 and wanted to get out of trouble for missing curfew. "Officers," she said, voice shaking just right. "I'm so glad you're here. We didn't know he was coming. He gets worked up lately, angry. He's been saying things about money, about how we're trying to take everything from him. We were honestly worried he might hurt himself, or us." Mark appeared behind her, hand on her shoulder, playing the protective husband. "We just want him safe," he said, "but he's not acting rational." The zip tie went around my wrists. Tight, the kind that digs in if you move wrong. This is insane, I said, trying to keep my voice level. I came here to visit my wife, to bring you a pie. What the hell are you talking about? Sir, we received a call that you made threats regarding financial disputes and were potentially unstable. We need you to come with us. Marcy was still standing on her lawn, hands over her mouth. Other neighbors were coming out now, phones up, recording. The Johnsons, the Pratts, that young couple with the Tesla who never said hello. This was a show. I was the entertainment. One of the officers walked me to the patrol car, while another went to talk to Lena and Mark. I could hear fragments of their conversation. Lena's voice, still performing. He's been forgetting things lately. We're worried about his mental state. He keeps insisting we're stealing from him, which isn't true. We're just trying to help organize his finances before he makes a mistake. They put me in the back of the car. The seats are hard plastic, designed so you can't get comfortable. I sat there, hands behind my back, watching my daughter and her husband talk to the police like I was some dangerous stranger who'd wandered onto their property. Ellen never came outside. That's what got me. My wife of 37 years, who I thought was here visiting, who I thought would be happy to see me. She stayed inside, like she was hiding, or like she'd been told to hide. The officer who'd cuffed me came back after about 10 minutes. He opened the door. Mr. Marlowe, we're not going to arrest you. There's no evidence of an actual threat. But your daughter is very concerned about your behavior. She mentioned you've been having memory issues, getting confused about finances. She suggested you might benefit from a medical evaluation. I don't have memory issues, I said. I know exactly what day it is. I know where I am. And I know my daughter just lied to you to make me look unstable. He gave me that look cops give when they think you're proving the point against yourself. Sir, I'm going to recommend you go home and cool off. If there are family disputes about money or property, that's a civil matter. Work it out through proper channels. They cut the zip tie. My wrists had red marks. I got out of the car, picked up my pie from where I'd left it, and walked back to my truck. Marcy tried to approach me again. Richard, I'm so sorry. I tried to warn you. They called the police 20 minutes before you got here. They were planning this. Not now, I said. I got in my truck and drove home. The whole way, my hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage, because I understood exactly what had just happened. They branded me, in public, in front of witnesses and cameras. They made me look dangerous, unstable, incompetent. They did it on purpose. And now, if I tried to fight back, if I told anyone what really happened, I'd sound exactly like the paranoid old man they'd painted me to be. This wasn't a family argument. This was a setup, and I was going to find out why. I drove home alone. Ellen didn't call, didn't text, didn't ride back with me. My house is 20 minutes from Lena's neighborhood, out past the newer developments where the lots are bigger and the trees are older. I bought the property in 1991 with money I saved working 60-hour weeks on commercial builds. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, garage that I converted into a workshop. Paid off the mortgage in 2009. It's mine. Completely, legally, no strings attached mine. I pulled into the driveway and sat there for a minute. Engine off, just breathing. The rage was still there, but it was settling into something colder, more controlled. I'd spent 35 years on job sites where one mistake could cost someone their life or their livelihood. You learn not to react hot. You learn to assess the situation, find the weak point, and apply pressure exactly where it counts. I needed to think like a project supervisor again. What was the real structure here? What was load-bearing and what was just dressing? I went inside, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table with a notepad. Old habit. I've never trusted digital files for anything important. Too easy to lose, too easy to hack. Paper and pen. That's real. I started writing down everything I could remember from the last 3 months. June. Lena asked me about my estate planning. Said she was worried I didn't have everything organized properly. Suggested I should name her and Artem as co-executors, just in case something happened. I told her I'd think about it. July. Mark started showing up at the house more often, always with some excuse. Needed to borrow a tool. Wanted advice on a project. Each time he'd steer the conversation to my finances. How much was the house worth now? Did I have a reverse mortgage? What about my savings? I shut him down, but looking back, he was fishing. August. Artem called me out of the blue and suggested I should consolidate my accounts, make things simpler. He even offered to help me set up automatic payments, online banking, all of that. Said it would be easier for someone my age. I told him I was managing fine. 2 weeks ago, Ellen went to visit Lena for the weekend. I decided to surprise them, and instead, I got handcuffs and a public humiliation. I sat back and stared at the timeline. They'd been working on this for months, slowly, carefully, building a narrative. Dad's getting old. Dad's confused. Dad needs help managing his money. Dad might do something rash. And now, with the police incident on record, they had evidence. I could already imagine how it would sound in court if it came to that. Your Honor, we're not trying to take anything from him. We're trying to protect him from himself. He showed up at our house unannounced. The police had to intervene. He's been making accusations about us stealing from him when we're only trying to help. I wanted to put my fist through the table. Instead, I picked up my phone and called Ellen. It went to voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. The third time, she answered. Her voice was quiet, strained. Richard, are you okay? Silence. Ellen, are you still at Lena's? Yes. Why didn't you come outside when the police were there? Another pause. Lena thought it would be better if I stayed inside. She said it might make things worse if I... If you what? Defended your husband? Don't. Her voice cracked a little. Don't do this. Everyone's just worried about you. You've been so tense lately, so angry about everything. Because our daughter just made me look like an unstable man in front of half her neighborhood. She didn't set you up. She was scared. She said you've been making threats about their business, about pulling your support. What support? What the hell are you talking about? Ellen's voice got smaller. She said you guaranteed some of their loans, that you're threatening to revoke it and ruin them. Richard, if you're having financial regrets, we can talk about it like adults. You don't need to. I'm not having regrets. I didn't threaten anyone. Ellen, they're lying to you. Silence again. Then, I'm going to stay here tonight. Lena's shaken up. I'll come home tomorrow and we'll talk then. Ellen! She hung up. I set the phone down very carefully, because if I didn't, I was going to throw it across the room. They'd gotten to her too. They'd spent days, maybe weeks, feeding her the same story, planting doubts. Dad's unstable. Dad's confused. Dad might be dangerous. Don't trust what he says. I sat there for a long time, staring at my notes. Then my phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. Mr. Marlowe, this is Marcy Henderson from next door to your daughter. I tried to warn you this morning. Can we talk? I saw things I think you need to know. I stared at the message. Marcy, the neighbor, the one who tried to stop me before the cops showed up. I texted back, when? Her reply came fast. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., there's a coffee shop on Ridgemont, corner of Oak, neutral ground. I'll be there. I went to bed that night but didn't sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lena's face in that doorway, the performance, the fear that wasn't real, the way she looked at me like I was a problem to be managed, my own daughter. The next morning, I got to the coffee shop early, ordered black coffee, sat in a corner booth where I could see the door. Old habit from job sites. Always know your exits. Always watch who's coming in. Marcy showed up right at 9, looking nervous. She ordered tea, then slid into the seat across from me. I'm sorry about yesterday, she said immediately. I should have come over sooner, should have told you weeks ago, but I didn't think it was my place. Tell me what you know. She took a breath. I heard them, Lena and Mark. About 2 weeks before you showed up. I was in my backyard, and their kitchen window was open. They were arguing, loud. About what? You. Your money. Mark was saying they needed to move fast, that if they didn't act now, you'd pull everything out and they'd be finished. Lena said they should just call the police and claim you were dangerous, get it on record, start building a case for guardianship. My coffee cup stopped halfway to my mouth. Guardianship. That's what she said. Mark told her they needed documentation, medical records, proof you were incompetent. Lena said they'd figure it out. She said, and I remember this exactly, she said, he's old, he's stubborn, and he's sitting on a pile of assets he's too stupid to protect. Someone's going to take advantage of him eventually. It might as well be us. I set the cup down. My hands weren't shaking anymore. They were steady. You're sure that's what she said? Word for word, Marcy said. I wrote it down right after I heard it because it made me sick. I thought about telling you, but I didn't have your number and I wasn't sure if you'd believe me. And then yesterday, when I saw you walking up, I knew they were going to spring something. I tried to warn you. You did, I said. Thank you. She looked relieved. Are you going to report them? For filing a false police report or something? I don't know yet. She reached across the table and touched my hand, just for a second. Whatever you do, Richard, be careful. They're scared. Scared people do desperate things. I drove home and went straight to my office, the converted bedroom where I keep all my files. I unlocked the desk drawer where I store everything important: deeds, insurance policies, financial statements, loan documents. And there it was. The thing I'd forgotten about until Marcy said the word guardianship. 5 years ago, Mark and Lena came to me asking for help. They wanted to start a renovation business, flip houses, do high-end remodels, build a brand. They needed capital. They needed credit. They had vision but no collateral. I helped them, co-signed on their business loans, put my name on their line of credit, guaranteed their contractor's license bond. I did it because they were family and because I believed in them. The paperwork was all here, clean, legal, binding, and every single one of those guarantees was still active. Meaning, if I withdrew my name, their financing would collapse, their credit would evaporate, and their business would grind to a halt. I sat there in my office, staring at the documents, and something clicked into place. They weren't trying to steal from me out of greed alone. They were trying to steal from me because they needed my money to stay afloat. And they were terrified I'd figure that out and pull the plug. I started going through the rest of the files. Property records, more loan docs, things I'd signed and filed away and not thought about in years. And that's when I found it, a copy of a letter addressed to my bank, dated 3 weeks ago, requesting that Lena Marlowe be granted account access and authorization to manage my finances due to the account holder's declining cognitive state and need for family assistance. The signature at the bottom looked like mine, but I never signed it. I held the paper up to the light, examined the ink, the stroke. It was close, very close, but it wasn't my handwriting. They'd forged it. They'd tried to get control of my bank accounts using a fake signature, and I had proof. I sat back in my chair and smiled, not because anything about this was funny, but because I finally understood the game board. And that's when two truths hit me. First, they were already in the middle of erasing me. Second, they made one serious mistake. They forgot I'm still the one holding the switch. Monday morning, I walked into First National Bank like I was there to deposit a check. Calm, quiet, just another customer. I asked to speak with a manager. They gave me Christine Okoye, mid-40s, sharp eyes, the kind of person who'd worked her way up and didn't tolerate nonsense. I sat down across from her and slid the forged letter across the desk. I never signed this, I said. I never authorized my daughter to access my accounts. I need to file a formal fraud report. Christine picked up the letter, examined it, then looked at me. Mr. Marlowe, this is a serious accusation. You understand that filing a fraud claim means— I understand exactly what it means. My daughter attempted to gain unauthorized access to my accounts by forging my signature. That's fraud. I want it on record. I want the account locked. And I want a written statement from this bank confirming that I never, at any point, gave Lena Marlowe permission to touch my money. She studied me for a long moment. Then she nodded. I'll need you to fill out some paperwork, and we'll have to launch an internal investigation. Do it. It took 2 hours. Forms, signatures, statements. By the time I walked out of that bank, the account was frozen pending review, and there was an official fraud claim filed with my name on it. First pressure point applied. Next, I drove to the county clerk's office, pulled all the loan documents where I was listed as guarantor for Mark and Lena's business, made copies. Then I drafted a formal letter of revocation. In construction, you learn the power of documents. Signed papers are the difference between a valid contract and a handshake that means nothing. I knew exactly how to write this. Clear, dated, notarized, legally unambiguous. I revoked every single guarantee I'd ever provided. The loans, the credit line, the contractor's bond, all of it. I took the letter to a notary, got it stamped and witnessed, then sent certified copies to every financial institution and bonding company on the list. By Wednesday morning, their entire financial infrastructure was collapsing, and they didn't even know I'd pulled the supports yet. I went home and waited. It didn't take long. Thursday afternoon, my phone rang. Mark. I let it go to voicemail. He called again, and again. On the 4th try, I answered. Richard. His voice was tight, brittle. We need to talk. About what? About the bank, about the guarantees. What the hell are you doing? Protecting my assets. You're destroying us. He was yelling now. Do you have any idea what you just did? We've got loans coming due. We've got bonds that are about to lapse. We've got clients waiting on— Not my problem. The hell it isn't. You signed those papers, you made a commitment, and now I'm revoking it. It's all legal, Mark. I checked. Silence. Then his voice came back colder. You're going to regret this. Is that a threat? He hung up. I saved the voicemail. Then I called my phone company and requested records of all my recent calls. I wanted timestamps, durations, everything. Because I knew what was coming next. They were going to escalate. Friday morning, Lena showed up at my house. I saw her car pull into the driveway and I almost didn't answer the door, but I wanted to see what approach she'd take. She knocked 3 times, then used her key, the spare I'd given her years ago for emergencies. She walked in like she still lived here. Dad. Her voice was soft, concerned. The performance was back on. We need to talk. You broke into my house. I didn't break in, I have a key. Dad, please, sit down. Let's talk about what's going on. I stayed standing. What's going on is you tried to forge my signature to steal from me. Her face didn't change. That's how I knew she'd practiced this. No one's trying to steal from you. We're trying to help you. You've been so confused lately, so angry, and we're worried you're going to make decisions you'll regret. That's why I asked the bank about getting access. Not to take anything, but to protect you. By forging my name, I didn't forge anything. I asked them what the process would be if you needed assistance. That's all. She was good, I'll give her that. Calm, measured, every word chosen carefully. She pulled a folder out of her bag and set it on the kitchen table. I brought some paperwork. Just simple stuff. Power of attorney forms, medical proxy, nothing scary. It just gives me the ability to help manage things if you're not feeling up to it. You can still make all your own decisions, but this way, if something happens, get out of my house. She blinked. Dad, you forged my signature. You called the police and lied about me. You manipulated your mother into thinking I'm unstable. Now you're here trying to trick me into signing away my legal autonomy. Get out. Her mask slipped. Just for a second. I saw anger flash across her face, raw and real. Then she smoothed it over and picked up her folder. Fine, but you're making a huge mistake. And when this all falls apart, and it will, don't come crying to me. She walked out, slammed the door. I went to the table and looked at the papers she'd left behind. Sure enough, power of attorney forms, medical decision-making authority, financial management rights, all designed to give her complete control. I scanned every page and saved them to 3 different drives. Then, I put the originals in a locked file box. Evidence. That weekend, I made some calls. Old contacts from my construction days, people I'd worked with, people who owed me favors, people who knew how to navigate the system. First call, Jimmy Brennan, who now worked for the county building department. I asked him to pull permit records for Lena and Mark's renovation business. He called me back 3 hours later. Richard, I don't know what they're running over there, but it's a mess. Half their permits are expired. They've got projects that were supposed to be finished 6 months ago with no final inspections. One of their builds is flagged for code violations. If anyone actually looks at this file, they're done. Can you make sure someone looks at it? Pause. I can make sure it gets reviewed. That's all I can promise. That's enough. Second call. Walter Price, who did insurance and bonding for contractors. I asked him about Mark and Lena's contractor's bond. You're the guarantor on that, right? I was. Just revoked it. He whistled low. Richard, without a guarantor, their bond's void. They can't legally operate. Any project they've got in progress is frozen until they get a new bond, and without your backing, I don't know who's going to underwrite them. That's their problem now. Third call. I reached out to 2 of Lena and Mark's clients, people whose names I'd seen on invoices and contracts when I helped them set up the business years ago. I was careful. I didn't say anything slanderous. I just suggested they might want to verify their project permits and check on the status of their contractor's bond. You know, for their own protection. By Monday, the walls were cracking, and that's when my son called. Artem. 29, accountant, lives 2 hours south in the city. I hadn't heard from him in 3 months. Dad, he said, voice smooth and corporate. I heard about what happened with Lena. Can we talk? About what? About the family, about making sure everyone's okay. I think maybe we all just need to sit down and work this out like adults. I'm listening. Why don't you send me some documents, just so I can help keep track of things? Your house deed, your account info, medical records. I'll organize it all, make sure nothing gets lost. You've been under a lot of stress and… Artem, let me stop you right there. You want my documents so you can do exactly what your sister tried to do, get control, declare me incompetent, lock me out of my own life. And you think I'm stupid enough to hand it over because you asked nicely. Silence. I'm not the confused old man you all decided I am, I said. And you're about to find that out the hard way. I hung up and immediately opened my email. There, in my drafts folder, was something I'd been putting together for the past week. A detailed timeline. A list of every lie, every manipulation, every attempt to steal from me. Names, dates, documents, everything. And I was about to invite everyone who mattered to see it in person. Because I was done playing defense. Wednesday afternoon, Ellen came home. I heard her car in the driveway, heard her key in the lock. She walked in, looking exhausted. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. She set her purse on the counter and just stood there. Richard, you stayed with them for 8 days. I know. 8 days, Ellen. You wouldn't answer my calls half the time. You let them convince you I was dangerous. Her voice cracked. They told me you were spiraling, that you were making threats, pulling money out, trying to ruin their lives because you couldn't handle getting older. They said… She stopped, closed her eyes. They said I wasn't safe with you. I felt something in my chest tighten. And you believed them. I didn't know what to believe. She looked at me, and I saw it then. She wasn't angry. She was scared. Richard, they had police reports. They had bank statements. They showed me texts where you were supposedly making threats. I never threatened anyone. I know that now. She sat down at the table, hands shaking. Yesterday, I overheard them. Mark and Lena. They thought I was outside. They were talking about you, about how to speed up the guardianship paperwork, about how once they had legal control, they could deal with the house and the accounts before he burns through everything. She looked up at me. Richard, they're not trying to protect you. They're trying to take everything. I sat down across from her. I know. What are we going to do? I'm going to stop them. She reached across the table and took my hand. For the first time in weeks, I felt like we were on the same side. Tell me how I can help. Over the next 2 days, Ellen and I put together the full picture. She told me everything she'd seen and heard while staying with Lena. The late-night arguments, the panic about money, the frantic phone calls with lawyers and banks. She also found something I didn't know about. They've been working on medical documentation, she said, trying to build a case that you're mentally declining. Mark has a template for a doctor's evaluation, a fake one, saying you have cognitive impairment. They were going to submit it as part of a guardianship petition. They were going to forge a medical report. I think so. I saw it on Mark's laptop when he left the room. Did you take pictures? She pulled out her phone. I took pictures of everything I could. I looked through the images, documents, text message screenshots, notes about neutralizing Richard and securing assets. A whole conspiracy laid out in bullet points. Ellen, I said quietly, I need you to be a witness. When this goes public, I need you to tell people what you heard and saw. Are you willing to do that? She nodded. They manipulated me. They used me to isolate you. I'm done protecting them. That night, I drafted a message and sent it to everyone on my list. Lena, Mark, Artem, Marcy the neighbor, Jimmy Brennan from the building department, Walter Price, the insurance guy, a bank representative, 2 of Mark and Lena's angry clients who'd reached out after I warned them, and a victim advocate from the county who specialized in elder financial abuse cases. The message was simple. Family meeting to resolve disputes and clear the air. Saturday, 2 p.m., at Lena and Mark's home. Please attend if you have any interest in or knowledge of recent events involving the Marlowe family. Documentation will be provided. Mark called me within the hour. What the hell is this? It's exactly what it says. A meeting. You can't just invite random people into our house. Then don't let them in. But I'll be there, and I'll have every document I need to prove what you've been doing. Your choice whether it's public or private. He hung up. Lena texted, Dad, this is insane. You're embarrassing yourself. I didn't respond. Artem tried a softer approach. Dad, let's just talk, the 3 of us. You don't need to make a scene. I replied, see you Saturday. Saturday came. I got there early, 1:45 p.m. Drove past the same perfect lawns, same neat driveways. Ellen was with me. We parked on the street and walked up to the door together. Lena answered. Her face was tight, controlled. You're really doing this? Yes. You're going to regret it. We'll see. Marcy showed up first, looking nervous but determined. Then Jimmy Brennan, then Walter Price, then the 2 clients, a couple named the Hastings who'd paid Mark and Lena $40,000 for a kitchen remodel that was 5 months overdue. The bank representative, a younger guy named Tim, who handled fraud cases, arrived with a briefcase full of files. And finally, the victim advocate, a woman named Rachel Dennison, who'd worked with the county for 15 years and had seen every flavor of family financial abuse. Everyone filed into Lena and Mark's living room. The space suddenly felt smaller, tighter. Mark stood near the fireplace, arms crossed, looking like he wanted to throw everyone out. Artem sat on the arm of the couch, trying to look casual and failing. Ellen stood next to me. I set my folder on the coffee table and opened it. Thank you all for coming, I said. I know this is unusual, but I needed witnesses for what I'm about to say. Lena cut in. Dad, You're making a spectacle. This is embarrassing for everyone. 2 weeks ago, I said, ignoring her, I came to this house to visit my wife and daughter. Before I reached the door, police arrived because my daughter called them and claimed I was dangerous and unstable. I was restrained and publicly humiliated in front of this neighborhood. Marcy nodded. I was there. I tried to warn you. I continued. That phone call was a setup. It was designed to create a record that I was mentally unfit and posed a threat. The goal was to build a case for legal guardianship so my daughter and son-in-law could take control of my finances. Mark stepped forward. That's not true. We were concerned about your behavior. Here's the police report, I said, pulling out the document. It states that Lena Marlowe reported I had been making threats about taking their money and destroying everything. I never said any of those things. There's no recording, no evidence, just her word. Tim, the bank rep, spoke up. Mr. Marlowe, may I? I handed him the folder. He pulled out the forged authorization letter. This is a request for account access that was submitted to our bank 3 weeks ago. It claims Richard Marlowe authorized his daughter to manage his accounts due to declining cognitive function. He looked up. Mr. Marlowe filed a fraud report on Monday. Our investigation confirmed the signature is forged. The room went silent. Lena's face went white. I didn't forge anything. I just asked about the process. The signature's fake, Tim said flatly. We've compared it to Mr. Marlowe's actual signature on file. This is fraudulent. One of the clients, Mrs. Hastings, spoke up. I'm sorry, but why are we here? I turned to her. Because I want you to understand who you're doing business with. My son-in-law and daughter have been running a renovation company using my credit and my guarantees as their foundation. Last week, I revoked all of those guarantees because I discovered they were trying to steal from me. Jimmy Brennan cleared his throat. I work for the county building department. I pulled permits for their business this week. Half of them are expired or incomplete. There are code violations on at least 3 properties. Frankly, they shouldn't be operating right now. Mr. Hastings stood up. Our kitchen was supposed to be done in February. It's June. We've paid $40,000 and we don't even have cabinets yet. Mark's face was red. That's because of supply chain issues. No, I said. It's because you're running a shell game. You take money from new clients to cover debts on old projects. You use my name to secure credit you can't actually back up, and when it started to collapse, you tried to steal from me to keep it going. You're lying, Lena hissed. Ellen stepped forward. I'm not. I heard you, Lena. I heard you and Mark talking about getting guardianship, about controlling his assets before he could pull them. You said, and I quote, he's too stupid to protect himself. It might as well be us. Lena's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. Artem finally spoke. Dad, even if mistakes were made, this isn't the way to handle it. We're family. Family doesn't forge signatures, I said. Family doesn't call the police on their father to make him look insane. And family sure as hell doesn't try to steal a man's house while pretending it's for his own good. I pulled out another document. This is a fake medical evaluation form. Artem helped draft it. It claims I have dementia and cognitive decline. It was going to be submitted as part of the guardianship petition. The doctor listed on the form never signed it. He doesn't even know it exists. Rachel Dennison, the advocate, leaned forward. Mr. Marlowe, are you saying your children conspired to file fraudulent medical documents to gain legal control over you? That's exactly what I'm saying. And I have proof. The room felt like it was vibrating. Lena was shaking her head, mouth opening and closing like she was trying to form words that wouldn't come. Mark's face had gone from red to almost purple. This is insane, Mark finally said. You're twisting everything. We were trying to help. Help yourselves, I said. Let's be clear about what was actually happening here. You two built a business on my credit. When that business started failing, you panicked. You needed more money. You tried to get access to my bank accounts by forging authorization. When that didn't work fast enough, you tried to have me declared incompetent so you could seize control legally. Walter Price spoke up from his corner of the room. Mr. Marlowe's name was the only thing holding up your contractor's bond. When he revoked his guarantee, the bond collapsed, which means every active project you're running is now legally invalid. Mrs. Hastings stood up, her voice shaking with rage. You mean our kitchen remodel isn't even legal? Not anymore, Walter said. Mr. Hastings was already pulling out his phone. I'm calling our lawyer. Wait, Lena said desperately. Just wait, we can fix this. Dad, if I just what? I stepped closer to her. Sign over my accounts, my house, let you finish what you started? We weren't trying to steal from you. Then what do you call forging my signature? What do you call lying to the police? What do you call manipulating your mother into thinking I was dangerous so you could isolate me? Ellen's voice cut through. I stayed with you for over a week, Lena. I listened to you cry about how worried you were about your father. And the whole time, you were planning how to take everything from him. Mom, that's not... I heard you. Ellen's voice was sharp now, sharper than I'd heard it in years. I heard Mark say, if we don't take control now, the old man is going to drain everything. I heard you agree with him. Lena's face crumpled, but it wasn't sadness. It was rage. You know what? Fine. Yes. We needed the money. We needed help. You're sitting on $500,000 in assets and you're just hoarding it like it's mine, I said quietly. Like I spent 35 years working for it. You don't need it. You're retired. You're old. What are you even saving it for? That's not your decision. Mark moved toward me then, fast. Not quite a lunge, but aggressive. His hand came up, reaching for the folder. Give me that. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Those are private documents. You can't just... They're my documents, and they prove you're a fraud. He grabbed for the folder anyway. His hand caught my wrist, twisting. It wasn't a punch, but it was rough, physical, meant to intimidate. Marcy shouted, Hey! Jimmy Brennan moved to step between us, but I held up my other hand. Don't. Let him. Mark's grip tightened. His face was inches from mine. You think you're so smart. You think you can just destroy us and walk away. I'm not destroying you, I said. I'm just not letting you destroy me. He shoved me back, not hard enough to knock me down, but hard enough that I stumbled. Ellen moved forward, but I caught her eye and shook my head. Because this exact moment, was what I needed. Mark, in front of 8 witnesses, putting his hands on me. Aggressive, physical, threatening. Rachel Dennison, the victim advocate, was already on her phone. I'm calling the police. This is assault. Don't bother, I said. They're already here. Mark froze. What? I pulled my phone out of my pocket and showed him the screen. Active call, 911. Duration, 4 minutes. I called them before I started talking, I said. They've been listening the whole time, and they're outside right now. As if on cue, red and blue lights washed through the front windows. Mark's face went slack. You set this up. I documented everything. I brought witnesses. I made sure everyone heard exactly what you've been doing. And now the police are here, not because you called them to frame me, but because you just committed assault in front of 8 people. 2 officers came through the door. I recognized one of them from 2 weeks ago, the older one who'd cuffed me on this same lawn. He looked around the room, taking in the scene. We got a call about a disturbance. Rachel stepped forward, showing her county ID. I'm Rachel Dennison, victim advocate with Elder Services. I just witnessed this man. She pointed at Mark. Physically assault Mr. Marlowe during a meeting about financial exploitation. The officer looked at me. Mr. Marlowe, you're the one who called? I am. I need to report multiple crimes, fraud, forgery, attempted financial exploitation, and now assault. I handed him the folder. It's all in here. The younger officer moved toward Mark. Sir, I need you to step outside. This is my house. Sir, outside. Now. Mark looked at Lena. She was frozen, staring at me like she didn't recognize me. Artem tried to ease toward the door. I should go. Stay, the older officer said. We're going to need statements from everyone. The next hour was chaos in slow motion. Officers taking statements. Rachel Dennison explaining elder financial abuse protocols. Tim from the bank providing documentation of the fraud. The Hastings demanding their money back. Jimmy Brennan explaining the permit violations. And through it all, I stood there, calm, watching my daughter and son-in-law realize they'd lost. The officers took Mark outside to the patrol car. Not arrested yet, but detained. They came back in and asked Lena to step outside as well. She looked at me before she left. Really looked at me. I'm your daughter. You were my daughter, I said. Right up until you decided I was worth more to you as a victim than as a father. She walked out. Artem tried next. Dad, I didn't know it would go this far. I just thought... You thought you'd help them erase me and get a cut of the money. You're just as guilty. He left without another word. The officers came back one more time. The older one looked tired. Mr. Marlowe, I remember you. From 2 weeks ago. I remember you too. Your daughter filed a report claiming you were unstable and dangerous. Made us respond here like you were a threat. He glanced out the window at Lena, standing by the patrol car. Looks like we got that backwards. It happens. We'll need you to come down to the station tomorrow and give a formal statement. But based on what we've heard here and the documentation you've provided, we'll be opening investigations into fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. I nodded. Good. He paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About 2 weeks ago, we should have dug deeper. You did your job. You responded to a call, that's all. He nodded and left. Slowly, the house emptied. The Hastings left threatening lawsuits. Jimmy Brennan left promising to expedite the permit review. Walter Price left, shaking his head. Tim from the bank left with copies of everything. Rachel Dennison was the last to go. She handed me her card. You did the right thing, Mr. Marlowe. I've seen a lot of these cases. Most people don't fight back. They're too scared, too ashamed. You stood up. I got angry, I said. Good, stay angry. You're going to need it for what comes next. She left. Ellen and I stood in the empty living room. Marcy lingered near the door. Do you want me to stay? No, I said. Thank you. For everything. She nodded and left. Ellen and I walked out to my truck. The street was lined with neighbors again. Phones up, filming. Same as 2 weeks ago. But this time, I wasn't the one in handcuffs. This time, Lena and Mark were standing by the patrol car, being questioned, their perfect image shattered in front of everyone who mattered. I got in my truck. Ellen got in beside me. What happens now? She asked. Now we go home, I said, and we let the system do its job. Are you okay? I thought about that. Was I okay? My daughter tried to steal from me. My son helped her. My son-in-law assaulted me in my own daughter's living room. My family was destroyed. Yeah, I said. I'm okay. Because I was. I'd spent 2 weeks being humiliated, gaslit, isolated, and attacked. And I'd spent the last week dismantling every lie, every scheme, every attempt to erase me. I wasn't a victim. I was still standing, and they were the ones falling. The fallout came fast. By Monday morning, Mark and Lena's business was effectively finished. The Hastings filed a lawsuit for breach of contract and fraud. 2 other clients followed within days. Jimmy Brennan's permit review turned into a full investigation, and the county issued a stop work order on every project they had running. Their contractor's license was suspended pending a hearing. The bank's fraud investigation expanded. Tim called me Tuesday to say they'd found 2 other suspicious transactions, smaller ones, tests to see if anyone was paying attention. Lena had been siphoning small amounts over the last 6 months, always under $1,000, always with vague justifications. She was getting bolder, Tim said. If you hadn't caught the big one, she would have cleaned you out slowly. Wednesday, the district attorney's office called. They wanted to talk about pressing charges, fraud, forgery, financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. I'm not vulnerable, I said. In legal terms, anyone over 65 qualifies for enhanced protections under elder abuse statutes, the prosecutor explained. What they did to you isn't just fraud, it's a specific class of crime with heavier penalties. Good, I said. File everything. Artem tried calling twice. I didn't answer. He left voicemails. The first one was defensive. Dad, you're blowing this way out of proportion. I was just trying to help. The second one was desperate. Please call me back. They're saying I could be charged as an accessory. I didn't do anything illegal, Please. Call me. I deleted both messages. Ellen asked me once if I was going to forgive them. No, I said. They're still your children. They stopped being my children when they decided to destroy me. She didn't push it. Thursday, Marcy came over with a casserole and an apology. I should have told you sooner. Weeks ago, when I first heard them planning. You tried to warn me, I said. The day it mattered, you ran across your lawn to stop me from walking into an ambush. That's more than my own kids did. She stayed for coffee. We talked about normal things, the weather, her work, my plans to finally renovate the back deck now that I didn't have to worry about someone stealing the money to do it. It felt good. Normal. Friday, I got a letter from Lena's lawyer, a settlement offer. They'd agree to repay any disputed funds and drop all claims if I agreed not to press criminal charges. I called the DA's office. They're trying to bargain. They're scared, the prosecutor said. Fraud charges carry jail time. They want to make this go away. What do you think I should do? That's your call, Mr. Marlowe. If you want restitution and you're willing to let them avoid prison, we can work out a plea deal. If you want them prosecuted fully, we'll do that too. I thought about it. I thought about Lena standing in that living room, her mask finally gone, screaming about how I was hoarding money I didn't need. I thought about Mark's hand on my wrist, twisting, threatening. I thought about Ellen crying because her own daughter had manipulated her, isolated her, made her doubt the man she'd been married to for 37 years. Prosecute them, I said. The lawyer called again Monday, more desperate this time. Mr. Marlowe, please reconsider. My clients are willing to... Your clients tried to steal my life, I said. They don't get to negotiate their way out of that. He hung up. Tuesday, Ellen got a call from Lena. She put it on speaker so I could hear. Mom, Lena's voice was raw, broken. Please, talk to him, make him stop. They're saying I could get 5 years, Mark could get 10. We'll lose everything, please. You already lost everything, Ellen said quietly. You did that yourself. I'm your daughter. You used me. You lied to me. You made me think my husband was dangerous so you could steal from him. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Yes, you did. You planned it. You executed it. You just didn't plan on getting caught. Lena was crying. I'm sorry, please, I'm so sorry. Sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught? Silence. Ellen hung up. She looked at me, and I saw it in her eyes. She was done, not just with Lena, but with the guilt of being done. I'm proud of you, I said. She took my hand. I should have believed you from the start. You did, eventually. That's what matters. The preliminary hearing was set for November. The DA's office told me to expect a long process, depositions, evidence review, maybe a trial, maybe a plea deal at the last minute. I didn't care how long it took. I'd already won. In early October, I got a call from Walter Price. Richard, I thought you should know. Mark and Lena officially dissolved their business. Filed for bankruptcy last week. They're selling the house. Where are they going? I heard Mark's moving back in with his parents. Lena's looking at apartments, separate apartments. They're splitting up? That's what it sounds like. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity, just nothing. They'd built their entire lives on a foundation of lies and theft, and now that foundation was gone. Everything they'd worked for, everything they'd schemed for, collapsed the moment I stopped holding it up. That's what they never understood. I wasn't the weak link. I was the load-bearing wall. Rachel Dennison called me in late October. I wanted to check in, see how you're doing. I'm fine. You went through hell, Mr. Marlowe. It's okay if you're not fine. I'm actually fine, I said. Better than I've been in months. Good. I'm glad. Most people in your situation don't come out the other side this strong. Most people probably still love their kids. She was quiet for a moment. Do you regret it? Fighting back? Not for a second. Good. Because you saved yourself. And you probably saved other people too. If they'd gotten away with this, they would have done it to someone else. I hadn't thought about it that way, but she was right. Halloween came and went. Thanksgiving was approaching. Ellen asked if I wanted to do anything for the holidays. Just us, I said. No guests, no drama, just us. That sounds perfect. The night before Thanksgiving, Artem showed up at my door. I almost didn't answer, but Ellen said, "You should hear him out." I opened the door. Artem looked like hell, thinner, pale, exhausted. Dad, what do you want? I wanted to say I'm sorry. Okay, he blinked. Okay? You said it. I heard it. Was there something else? I mean, don't you want to talk about it? No. He shifted on his feet. The DA offered me a deal. Testify against Lena and Mark, and they'll drop the accessory charges. Are you going to take it? I don't know. They're family. So am I. He looked down. I know. But when you had to choose between protecting me and helping them steal from me, you chose them. So don't stand here now and pretend family loyalty means something to you. I made a mistake. You participated in a conspiracy to have me declared mentally incompetent so you could steal my assets. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. He was quiet for a long time. Then, I'm taking the deal. Good. At least one of you has some survival instinct left. He left without another word. Ellen came up beside me. That was hard. No, I said. It was easy. Because it was. I didn't miss them. I didn't miss the worry that they were scheming behind my back. I didn't miss the fake smiles and the fake concern. For the first time in months, I felt free. Thanksgiving was quiet. Just me and Ellen. We cooked a small turkey, made stuffing, watched football. It was perfect. No fake conversations, no wondering who was lying. Just peace. The week after Thanksgiving, the DA called. We've got a trial date, February. Mark and Lena both rejected the plea deal. They're going to fight this. Let them fight. It means you'll have to testify. I'm ready. December came. I started working on the back deck renovation. Tore out the old wood, measured for new joists, planned the layout. Physical work. Satisfying. Marcy came over one afternoon with her husband, Dan, who I'd met a few times before. They helped me haul lumber. You didn't have to do this, I said. Neighbors help neighbors, Dan said. Besides, Marcy told me what you went through. You're good people. It was a small thing, but it mattered. Christmas came and went. Ellen and I drove up to the mountains for a few days, rented a cabin, no phone calls, no stress, just snow and quiet. New Year's Eve, we sat on the back porch, the newly finished back porch, and watched fireworks from the neighbors' yards. What are you thinking? Ellen asked. That this year is going to be better. You think the trial will go well? I don't care how it goes, I said. I already got what I needed. They're exposed. They're broke. They're facing consequences. Whether they go to jail or not doesn't change the fact that I won. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm sorry I doubted you. You didn't know. They're good liars. I should have known anyway. I kissed the top of her head. We're good now. That's what matters. January was prep for the trial, meetings with the DA, going over documents, reviewing testimony. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Linda Vasquez, walked me through what to expect. The defense is going to paint you as vindictive. They'll say you're angry about normal family disagreements and you're using the legal system to punish them. Let them say that. They'll bring up the fact that you revoked your financial guarantees right before their business collapsed. They'll claim you sabotaged them. I protected myself. That's exactly what you say. Don't get defensive, don't get angry, just state facts. I practiced my testimony over and over until it was smooth, calm, unshakable. February arrived. The trial started on a Monday. The courthouse was old, wood-paneled, the kind of place where you could feel the weight of every case that had come before. Lena and Mark sat at the defense table with their lawyers, separate lawyers. They wouldn't even look at each other. Artem was there, waiting to testify for the prosecution. He wouldn't look at me. The jury was selected. 12 people who didn't know any of us, who'd never heard of the Marlowes, who just had to decide whether two people conspired to commit fraud. Linda Vasquez gave her opening statement. Clear, concise, brutal. The defendants didn't just lie. They didn't just steal. They tried to erase a man's legal identity. They forged documents. They manipulated police. They isolated him from his wife. They fabricated medical records. Also, they could take his money while pretending they were protecting him. This wasn't a family disagreement. This was a calculated attack on a vulnerable person. The defense lawyers pushed back. Richard Marlowe is a bitter, controlling man who couldn't handle the fact that his children had built successful lives without him. When they tried to help him organize his finances, he lashed out. This isn't fraud. This is a family torn apart by resentment. The jury listened. Then the evidence started. The forged bank authorization, the fake medical evaluation, the recorded phone calls, the police reports, the testimony from Marcy, from Jimmy Brennan, from Walter Price, from Tim at the bank. Every piece of it, laid out methodically. On day 3, I testified. Linda walked me through the timeline. I kept my voice steady, factual, no emotion. Just what happened. The defense attorney cross-examined me, tried to make me look angry, vindictive. Mr. Marlowe, isn't it true that you revoked your guarantees specifically to hurt your daughter's business? No, I revoked them to protect my assets after discovering she'd forged my signature. You didn't even try to talk to her first? She'd already called the police and lied about me. What was there to talk about? So you went straight to financial retaliation? I went straight to protecting myself. He pushed harder. You invited 8 people to your daughter's home to publicly humiliate her. I invited witnesses to a meeting where I planned to present evidence of fraud. You set her up. She set herself up. I just documented it. He tried a few more angles, but I didn't break. I'd spent 2 months preparing for this. I knew every answer. On day 5, Artem testified. He looked sick, pale, shaking. He told the jury everything. How Lena and Mark had asked him to help draft the fake medical evaluation. How they'd planned to file for guardianship. How they'd coached him on what to say if anyone asked. The defense tried to discredit him. You're testifying in exchange for immunity. You're just saying what the prosecution wants to hear. I'm testifying because it's the truth, Artem said. I helped them. I'm guilty too. But I'm trying to make it right. The jury watched him cry. On day 8, Ellen testified. She was calm, clear, devastating. She told them about being isolated, about hearing Lena and Mark plan the guardianship, about the fake concern and the real greed. They used me, she said. They made me think my husband was dangerous so I wouldn't protect him. I'll never forgive myself for believing them. The defense didn't even try to cross-examine her hard. They knew it would backfire. On day 10, closing arguments. Linda Vasquez stood in front of the jury and said, Richard Marlowe is not a victim because he's old. He's a victim because his own children targeted him, lied about him, and tried to steal everything he'd worked for. They didn't make a mistake. They didn't misunderstand. They planned this. They executed it. And they only stopped because he fought back. The defense lawyer stood up. This is a family tragedy, a father who couldn't let go, children who tried to help and were punished for it. Don't send them to prison for trying to care for their father. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they came back, the forewoman stood. On the charge of fraud in the first degree, we find the defendant, Lena Marlowe, guilty. Lena's face crumpled. On the charge of forgery, we find the defendant, Lena Marlowe, guilty. On the charge of financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, we find the defendant, Lena Marlowe, guilty. They went through Mark's charges. Guilty. 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 The judge set sentencing for 4 weeks out. I walked out of the courthouse with Ellen beside me. Lena was crying in the hallway, her lawyer trying to comfort her. She saw me, looked right at me. I didn't say anything, didn't need to. She looked away first. Sentencing day came on a cold morning in March. Lena got 4 years, Mark got 7. Both eligible for parole after serving half, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. Their reputations were destroyed. Their business was gone. Their money was gone. Their marriage was over. And I was still standing. After the sentencing, I went home. Ellen made dinner. We ate on the new back deck. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Good," I said, and I meant it. Rachel Dennison called that evening. "I heard about the sentencing. You did it, Richard. You fought back and you won. Thank you. For everything." "No, thank you. You showed people it's possible. That you don't have to just take it when someone tries to destroy you." I hung up and sat on the porch for a while, watching the sun go down. I thought about the day the police came, the day I stood on Lena's lawn with my hands zip-tied behind my back, humiliated in front of strangers. I thought about how scared I'd been, not of the police, but of the idea that my own children hated me enough to do that. And then I thought about the second time the police came, when I stood in that same living room, surrounded by witnesses, and watched Lena and Mark's world collapse. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the architect of their downfall. And I didn't feel guilty about it, not even a little, because they'd tried to erase me, and I'd erased them instead. That's the thing about revenge. People tell you it's hollow, that it won't make you feel better, that you should forgive and move on. Those people are wrong. Revenge, when it's justified, deserved, and precisely executed, it feels intensely satisfying. I took everything they tried to steal and I burned it to the ground. I didn't just protect myself, I destroyed them, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Ellen came outside with 2 beers, handed me one. "To surviving," she said. "No," I said. "To winning." We clinked bottles. The sun set, and I smiled. Spring came. The world kept turning. Lena went to prison in April. Mark followed a week later, different facilities. They'd never see each other again unless they both got out and decided to reconnect, which seemed unlikely given that Mark's lawyer had tried to blame everything on Lena during sentencing. Artem got probation and community service. He sent me a letter once. I didn't open it. The house was quiet, peaceful. Ellen and I fell into a rhythm. Morning coffee on the deck, afternoon projects, evening walks around the neighborhood. Marcy and Dan became real friends. We had them over for dinner once a month. They invited us to a barbecue, normal things, the kind of relationships that don't come with hidden agendas. In May, I got a call from the bank. Tim, the fraud investigator. "Mr. Marlowe, I wanted to let you know, we recovered most of the money your daughter took. It was still in a separate account she hadn't transferred yet. We're issuing you a refund." "How much?" $47,000. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. "Thank you." "No, thank you. You did everything right. You documented, you reported, you followed through. Most people don't. You made our job easy. I took Ellen out to dinner that night. Nice place, steaks and wine. What are we celebrating? She asked. Being free. She smiled, reached across the table and took my hand. We'd been through hell. We'd been lied to, manipulated, torn apart, but we came out the other side together. That was worth celebrating. In June, I got a call from a reporter, local paper. They'd been following the trial and wanted to do a story on elder financial abuse. Would you be willing to be interviewed? I thought about it. Thought about staying quiet, moving on, letting it fade. Then I thought about how many other people were probably going through the same thing. Kids circling aging parents like vultures. Families torn apart by greed. Yeah, I said. I'll talk. The article ran in July. Front page of the local section. Man fights back against family fraud and wins. They used my name, my story, everything. I got calls after that. Other people, older people, telling me their own stories. Kids who wanted power of attorney, grandkids who needed loans, relatives who suddenly got very interested in estate planning. I listened. I gave advice when I could. Mostly I just told them the same thing Rachel had told me. Document everything. Trust your instincts. And don't be afraid to fight back. By August, I was done thinking about it. Done talking about it. Done reliving it. I'd won. That was enough. Ellen and I took a trip. 2 weeks in Montana, rented an RV, saw mountains and rivers and sky that went on forever. We didn't talk about Lena or Mark or Artem. We talked about where we wanted to go next, what projects I wanted to tackle on the house, whether we should get a dog, normal things, future things. When we got back, there was a letter waiting, prison stationery, Lena's handwriting. I held it for a minute. Ellen watched me. Are you going to read it? I thought about it, wondered what she'd say. Apologies, probably. Excuses, maybe more blame. I didn't care anymore. I tore it up and threw it away. No, I said. I'm done. And I was.